So my name is Marciano. I've been involved with machine translation and language technologies for about 20 years. A lot of people don't recognize that machine translation is actually an old technology. It predates databases, it predates email, it predates a lot of things that people use all the time today. The use cases for machine translation will simply expand. And so we'll be able to use it more confidently for things where there's no post-editing. Where there is post-editing, we'll be able to do more languages and far more types of content. And then it opens up the ideas as well, and not just with the machine translation, but also with the speech recognition and the speech synthesis. We'll be able to do many more things more reliably with interpretation as well. There are so many unmet needs currently in translation. Some estimates are that we only translate between 8 and 10% of what corporations would really want to have translated. There is this unmet need, is that it's still too expensive to do translation, or it's too time consuming. And some companies don't see the value in paying that full price for translation for content that is important to them, but not that important to them. And where there's a vacuum like that, technology will come in and help to fill that vacuum. So as opposed to thinking that technology will take away somebody's work, you can say that it's going to take away the work that's less interesting and more regular, and it's going to leave the more challenging work for the professional. So there will be issues there just in terms of getting the technology really up to speed. So it's going to take a little while. But in terms of the human touch, even if you could have a robot that could interpret, the question is whether somebody would want that or not. Okay, so that's one question. But something that I like to bring up with interpreters is the fact that, for instance, right here we're in a very noisy room. There's a lot of ambient noise, a lot of other voices. And in fact, as we move forward with speech recognition, a computer will be able to do that better than a person can do that in terms of focusing in on one voice and only listening to that and not listening to other things. And also another thing that's really important to understand is that whereas a person can add the human touch, the computer can add the information touch. So imagine a day when all of these systems are connected and you're in a situation where, let's say in medical interpretation, where a patient certainly needs to express something to a doctor, but the computer could also be tied into the doctor's schedule and to the insurance plan that the patient has, and could also in the background, as this conversation is taking place, be aware of all of this other information that a human interpreter just can't be aware of. You can imagine that the person's record would be updated, the doctor's schedule would be updated, and things like that. Now that's not interpretation, clearly. But it's plugging interpretation into a broader system. People tend to avoid the question of the fact that quality varies greatly among professional or among human interpreters. And so there the question is, first of all, is anybody available? Because technology can certainly play a role when nobody is available to do that. And secondly, if the only person who's available is not actually an interpreter, then maybe the computer has a bigger role to play than most people believe. A lot of translators and interpreters fear technology because they think it's coming after them and our industry. And it's a much, much bigger thing. So AI, neural networks, all of this, the automation that's going on, allows us to do things more efficiently. And that's always a good thing. And as historically, what you see when you add efficiency to the system, jobs change. So the interpreter's job will very likely change. A translator's job is already changing very quickly right now. But that simply means that people have to adjust to a new world. So that's the way I view this. I don't view the use of technology as a threat to our industry, but as a tremendous opportunity. While change can be difficult, it's often in the end a good thing. So what I would recommend is that people simply be open to technology as an augmentation to what they do. So recognize your limitations, recognize that technology will allow you to do more, and as opposed to trying to run away from it, run towards it. Because the people who run towards technology generally end up in a much more positive place than the people who try to just avoid it.